States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Emmerich.
Here.
Lotta. Kemper. Here. Dunlop. Lloyd. Here. Berry.
Here.
Menza.
Here. Welcome, everyone. We're very glad to see so many wonderful faces in the audience this evening. We're going to go ahead and invite Mr. Freeland up to get this party started.
Let's do it. Good evening, Dr. Sarah, Administration, Board of Ed. We want to thank you for giving us this opportunity to celebrate these talented students this evening. The band students that are recognized this evening have achieved one of the highest honors as a music student here in the state of Illinois. That is the acceptance in the district ILMEA honor band. To be part of this organization, students spend countless hours over the summer and fall months preparing for the audition. Tonight we recognize these students who were accepted by audition to participate in honor band, which took place back in November. Students, at this time, as I call you, we're going to have you come on up here.
Yeah, we're going to have the board's going to come first. Yeah.
All right, students, as I call your name, please come on up and raise your certificate. Mercy Adaguni. Fallon Berthold. Anthony Forrest. Aisha Chugale. Rebecca Dallas. Gianna Edwards. Karen Faucete. Ellen Gotzi. Colin Lenters. Terry Lusby. Ezekiel Miranda. Leah Morrissey. Annabella Arona. Miss Lee. Ben Scanberg. And Caroline Solik. At this time, we'd like to invite up all the band students. We're going to take a group picture. My coworker, Kate Dexter, for the choir.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having us here tonight. Jason did a wonderful job explaining what ILMEA is. Our district that we're in is one of the most competitive in the state of Illinois. I just wanted to share a couple things. I was so impressed with our singers about this year. They've had a very wide variety of music to sing this year. So I was so impressed by their ability to sing such different vocal styles and different languages. Our singers as well as our instrumentalists learn music so quickly because of their sheer understanding of the music theory behind it. And the dedication and training to their instruments that they have. So, thank you for recognizing them this evening. This is so special. So, may I please have the following singers step forward. Teresa Conrad. Vivian Luco. Annabelle Shaw. And we'll recognize Julian Esparza, who is currently
us, I'd like to introduce Kevin Bissell from our auditing firm, Sherry Eckert, to give a presentation on the annual audit.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me here tonight. As Jeff mentioned, this is a presentation of the audit for the year ended June 30th, 2024. I think everyone has copies of the financial statements, so I'm going to start on pages 1 through 5, which is the letter of transmittal. And this letter is prepared by management and really gives an overview of things surrounding the district, as well as some of the information that follows the financial statements. It provides the mission of the district, some summary info for the year, as well as prospects for the future. Some good information for your review, if you didn't get a chance to take a look at it yet. I'll move on now to pages 8 and 9 of the financial statements. A couple pages here that I wanted to make sure to point out. These pages have the certificate of excellence in financial reporting for the prior fiscal year. The awards were submitted to, statements were submitted to the Association of School Business Officials and the Government Finance Officers Association for review to award the certificates that you see there. I want to again make sure that I mention it because it's a really good achievement for the district. Both organizations go through a very thorough review process before they will award the certificates that you see there. So the statements from last year met all the qualifications, these certificates were awarded, and the current year statements will be undergoing the same review process for this year. I'll move on now to pages 10 through 13 of the statement, which is the independent auditor's report. This report states that we have audited the financial statements of the district as of June 30th, 2024, and it then reflects our opinion. And in our opinion, the financial statements of the district are fairly presented in all material respects at June 30th, 2024, in accordance with U.S. generally accepted accounting principles. The report goes on to talk about responsibilities of both management and the auditor. Now, as far as management's responsibilities, management is responsible for the preparation and the fair presentation of the statements in accordance with U.S. generally accepted accounting principles. This includes the design and implementation of controls related to the preparation and presentation of statements that are free from material misstatement. And as far as the auditor's responsibilities, our objective is to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the statements are free from material misstatement. We conducted our audit in accordance with U.S. generally accepted auditing standards and government auditing standards. And as such, we exercise professional judgment and maintain professional skepticism throughout the audit. We identify and assess the risks of material misstatement of the statements. We obtain an understanding of relevant controls to allow us to design appropriate audit procedures. And we evaluate the appropriateness of accounting policies and estimates, as well as the overall presentation of the statement. I'll move on now to page 14, which is where management's discussion and analysis begins. Now, this document is not audited, but it's a nice summary of the statements that follow. So I'll spend some time here in management's discussion and analysis. This document explains some of the important information in the statements that follow. Some of the highlights for the year that you can see here: assets and deferred outflows exceed liabilities and deferred inflows by $60.7 million at June 30th, 2024. Net position increased about $9.1 million during the year. On the fund level, governmental fund reported combined fund balance of $46.6 million. This was up from 2023 by about $4.1 million. $40.5 million is unrestricted and available for the continuing operations of the district as of June 30th. Page 16 gives a summary of assets, liabilities, and deferred amounts of the district for both the current and the prior year. As you can see in this table, total assets increased about $5.4 million. Current liabilities are similar to prior year levels, but long-term liabilities are down about $2.3 million this year. Deferred inflows are also down by about $2 million for the stated earlier, net position is up about $9.1 million for the year. Page 17 shows a table with some of the details about the increase in net position. As we can see here, most of the revenues are showing increases from the prior year. Now, expenses were also up from last year, but they increased at a lower rate than revenues increased. The expenses of the district are primarily instructional expenses. Instructional expenses account for about 68% of the district's total expenses. Page 18 of the statements begins the discussion of the fund balances of the district. At year end, the district had $46.6 million of fund balance. Included in that amount are $2.6 million of restricted fund balance amounts and $3.4 million of fund balance assigned for certain purposes. And at June 30th, the unassigned balance of the general fund was $40.5 million. The general fund is the primary operating fund of the district, and the unassigned fund balance can be used for the ongoing operations of the district. And again, that amount was $40.5 million. Page 18 discusses some of the differences in the general fund between actual amounts and what had been budgeted for the year. Excluding some pass-through pension amounts from the state that are not budgeted, actual revenues were $4.4 million more than had been budgeted for the year. And excluding the related pass-through pension expenditures from the state, which again are not budgeted, actual expenditures were about $665,000 less than had been anticipated for the year. Page 19 discusses the long-term debt of the district. Long-term liabilities were $29.5 million at June 30th, and this was a decrease of about $2.3 million this year. Some of the reasons for the decrease in long-term liabilities: bond payments were made according to the set payment schedules, and as I mentioned earlier, there was a decrease in the district's pension liabilities on a statewide level. Page 19 and 20 also has some discussion of what is anticipated for the current year that we are currently in. And again, some good information that we have not had a chance yet to take a look at. Now, the statements themselves follow the MD&A that I just covered. But again, that document really provides a good summary and overview of the statements. I'll go and mention a couple pages within the statements that I wanted to point out. Page 21 shows the assets, liabilities, and deferred amounts at year end for the district as a whole. And as I mentioned earlier, the district had $60.7 million of net position, and this is where we can see that amount. Page 23 shows the balance sheet for the district's different funds. There's a column for each of the district's major funds. And again, as I mentioned earlier, at year end, the district had $46.6 million in fund balance. And again, you can see the assets, liabilities, and deferred amount for each of the district's funds. Page 25 shows the revenues and expenditures by fund for the year. And page 29 is where the footnotes to these statements begin. The footnotes provide some additional information and background for some of the amounts that were reported within the statement. And again, some good information for your review. There's two that I just want to go through very briefly that I'll point out to you. Page 39 provides some of the information about capital assets of the district. It provides information about the assets and disposals by asset class as well as the related depreciation. And the district's capital assets increased by about $1.1 million during the year. Page 42 provides some information about the long-term liabilities of the district that I mentioned earlier. At year end, bonds payable and related premiums were about $17.6 million, and the district had about $3.6 million of pension liabilities. The district also had $8.2 million of other post-employment benefit liabilities at year end. Page 44 provides a table of the district's fund balance as of the end of the year. And again, as I mentioned earlier, the district at year end had $46.6 million in total. I mentioned that within that amount there was $2.6 million restricted for certain purposes. This And again, at year end, there was about $40.5 million unassigned in the general fund. And again, general fund is the primary operating fund of the district. The rest of the footnotes are devoted primarily to the TRS, IMRF, and post-employment benefit disclosures. Provide some required information about how those amounts are calculated and what goes into the calculations. So again, provide some really detailed amounts about those liabilities that are covered within the long-term debt footnotes. Now, the statements that remain that are after the footnotes provide some more detailed information about the information that I've already presented. So for each of the district's funds, there are comparisons with both the budget and the prior year, so that you can see by fund how the district performed in comparison to what had been budgeted, as well as how it performed for the prior year. So again, some good information for your analysis. Starting on page 110 and going through 129, this is the statistical section. This section is required if the district chooses to submit its statements for that certificate then early. So in order to qualify for that award, this information has to be presented. And this section really gives some good information regarding the district. It has 10-year trend information. That's really a nice snapshot of how things have gone over the past 10 years, and provides other information about the district, such as revenues, demographics, and other operating information. In the last section of these statements, starting on page 130, going through the end, is the single audit. And the single audit section is required when the district has a certain level of spending of federal awards. So once you exceed that threshold, a single audit is required by the federal government. And this section provides all of the required information that they're looking for. So that basically summarizes the financial statements. Just wanted to briefly go over just kind of the audit process and when we progress to the audit in our conclusion. So basically during the audit, we encountered no difficulties in dealing with management. There were no disagreements during the process. The financial statements and footnotes that I mentioned earlier, from our standpoint, are neutral, consistent, and clear. There were no instances of non-compliance that we were required to disclose in the statements. And from our standpoint, we felt the audit went well. We wanted, again, to thank Jeff and his team for providing all of the information to us in a very timely manner and complete and organized. So they were very instrumental in helping us through the process. I wanted to thank everyone for their efforts. Are there any questions about the statements or the audit process in general?
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, 5.1, Superintendent reports.
Yes, thank you. I just want to forecast that we've got kindergarten registration opening very soon, January 17th. It's for all children who turn 5 by September 1st and are not already part of our pre-K program. If you're already part of our pre-K program, you do not need to register. So a little incentive, if you do register early, you may have April. So we're encouraging all families who have children who will turn 5 by September 1st to begin that kindergarten registration process January 17th. Just want to also announce an exciting partnership between Central Middle School and Tinley Park Police Department. Central is going to be hosting an internet safety meeting for all families, and elementary families are welcome as well. That'll be on January 22nd at 6 p.m. And families can submit topics of interest and questions in advance. So we hope we'll have a big turnout on January 22nd at 6 p.m. Institute Day on January 6th of this month. It was a very good day of learning for our faculty and staff. Some examples were politics of location, executive functioning, our SIOP cohort continued their progress, collaboration in professional learning communities, Illinois literacy plan, literacy maps and resources review, problem-based learning curriculum planning, and cycles of improvement. So just our continued commitment to professional development, equity, and improvement of teaching and learning. So it was a really good day. I also want to brief the board in private, but wanted to say in public, with regard to the Cook County Paid Ordinance Leave Act, this new ordinance that went into effect on December 31st. And I think the county's hearts are in the right place with what they're trying to do with regard to paid leave for its residents. However, we could not communicate effectively enough to the county that taxing bodies such as public schools tend to have more favorable systems in place for paid leave for their employees than what were in the ordinance itself, and yet we couldn't convince them to exempt us. So in partnership with the 3 bargaining units, we agreed to waive that ordinance in District 146, but we had this other matter where we've got a lot of classified employees that aren't part of a bargaining unit. They would still be fall under that ordinance. So we talked to the 3 municipalities that we serve, Orland Park, Tinley Park, and Oak Forest, and all 3 are home rule villages who agreed to waive it themselves. So as a result, District 146 is in very good shape with regard to this. Our bargaining agreements and those that we have with our non-union classified staff are just much more favorable. There's more leave available to them than the ordinance allowed, and it's available to them on the first day of each fiscal year as opposed to having to earn it throughout the year. We just take better care of our employees than I think the ordinance intended to improve. So I'm happy with the way it turned out for 146, but we're still working with legislators in Springfield to consider legislation that would exempt public schools from the ordinance, because we're just very fortunate that all 3 of the villages that we serve are home rule and they're able to do it themselves. So just wanted to give everybody an update on that. And thank you for your cooperation in the bargaining units. I think we're doing the right thing in advocating and representing your membership, as well as recognizing the systems that we have in place that are helping you with 46. I want to brag about Central's 6th grade. They raised over $1,500 for Water for Sudan. And Water for Sudan is a not-for-profit where their mission is to provide fresh water. And because of Central's commitment to that over the past couple of years, we've raised enough to co-sponsor a well in South Sudan, and that well will have Central's name on it, and it's symbolic of the effort of our teachers and our students over the past few years, and their commitment to helping people around the world. And I just think it's just one of the best things we do. So those of you that were involved with that in the audience, thank you very much for your commitment. I just wanted to recognize your hard work and that of our students to the Board of Education. I also like to congratulate Julie Drew. She's a 5th grade teacher at Cruz. She made national news recently as she's battling cancer for the 2nd time. She's a single mother. She recently purchased a home before she had this last round of cancer here. And on December 11th, as part of the Cruz Winter Sing, she was surprised by Dowling Legacy in Retirement and Gradient Gives Back Foundation with a year worth of mortgage payments, which is going to allow her and her family to keep the house. And later on, you'll be seeing an action item where I asked the board to act to receive generous gifts from those donors and a couple others that are benefiting all the students at Cruz. So just a beautiful thing that they do around the holidays, and it's a life changer saver for Julie and her family. And if you don't know Julie personally, She's just a really special hero, teacher, and every time her life gets harder, she just doubles down on her commitment to her kids, and it's really, really heroic. So congratulations to her, and I just wanted to thank her donors and brag about her good fortune lately to the board. Finally, congratulations to Phyllis Rule. Her granddaughter, Chloe Ann, was born on December 27th. Phyllis is a paraprofessional at Cruise. And 3 condolences this month. Nancy Maslowski passed away. Nancy retired in 2022. She was a longtime staff person, para at Central and at Fulton. Just a lovely person. So our condolences to her, her family in that loss, and to her colleagues in the district. Samantha Zimmer's father, Lawrence Nichols, passed away in December. Samantha's a 5th grade teacher at Fair. And Hidayah Abul's father, Ali Abul, passed away on Friday, January 3rd. Hidayah's a paraprofessional at Fulton. So some heartbreaking losses around the holidays, and our hearts go out to those staff people and their families. That's all I have for the school teams.
6.1, citizens may address the board at this time. Are there any citizens? Okay, seeing none. 7.1, union reports.
Okay, just a little bit of an update at what's going on in the schools. Dr. Taylor still fun a little bit about Julie Drew. It was very exciting with Cruise, and she's amazing, so it couldn't be more well deserved. A couple other things at Cruise, they had a successful clothing drive around the holidays, and as well as other schools, Cruise is sending out math and reading growth reports from the math testing. The doctors sent home so that the parents and students can continue the partnership and improve their academic growth. Fulton, as well as Memorial, enjoyed the litter scenes. It's a very heartwarming kind of thing. It's also a lot of fun. We get that on the same days the parties right before the break, so it kind of gets things off to a really great start. The PTO also sponsored their Winter Wonderland that they do every year, with a lot of activities and fun things for the kids. They're looking forward to starting their one book, one school. They're going to be reading The Chocolate Touch. So a lot of the kids, as well as the staff, are looking forward to some fun chocolate-themed activities coming up. Those are in store. And Memorial, we're celebrating Math all month. So for the month of January, we've got puzzles and riddles and David Joseph, Mr. Kazar. Corny as can be, but kids love them. And they've got math problems and things set up throughout the school for kids to do. So as we're working towards Summer Day, we're kind of celebrating a little bit of extra math. And that's it.
No report. Moving on, can I have a motion for the consent agenda, please?
Move that we approve items 8.1, approval of minutes, 8.2, approval of closed session minutes, 8.3, approval of 6-month review of closed session minutes, 8.4, approval of the destruction of closed session tapes, 8.5, the approval of financial items, and 8.6, the approval of personnel.
Is there a second?
A second.
Discussion.
Yes. 8.5, we have an invoice from Tinley for $155,000. That I don't think we should pay at this point, I guess, at this point in the process. Basically, I mean, I'll just say it's my understanding this is from the work that they've done for us on Central so far. I don't exactly know what our arrangement is with them. Maybe you can, what is our contract with them?
Yeah, Jeff, you want to
Yeah.
start?
So, the architect that we have is ELA, and they charge a flat 8% fee for work that they do for us. So the anticipated cost of the central projects for this coming summer are about $3 million. So 8% of that is $240,000. So over the course of the project, we're going to go down $240,000. But a lot of the work is front loaded. They have to design the bid specs. There's a lot of work that goes into getting ready for the work. So they bill us as they progress through the project. So we're going to have a bid opening soon, and, you know, the bid book is probably a book like this, there's a lot involved in it, and it's basically their time that they're billing us for. And then there will be, you know, that's 156,000 out of the 240, and then as the project happens, they'll provide oversight and supervision and all of that, and that'll be the remainder. It's a percentage of the total, and so if the bids come in higher or lower, that amount will get adjusted to whatever the actual bids are.
But I
It's
guess
kind of
this is my
standard.
point, Jeff, is twofold. Let me just stop you there. First of all, it's our understanding, I mean, I think we're all a little surprised at what the estimated cost of this project was going to come in at. So I thought we had discussed that there was a potential that we might not accept any bids, right? I mean, there's a chance if it's $3 million, we might say, we want to spend $3 million to face what's essential. So if it's zero, then take it 8% zero?
Well, no. We have to pay for the work, paying for the supervision or bid analysis kind of stuff.
Okay, so then, I mean, we're talking about a bid on new flooring, right? A bid on new lighting, and a bid on new ceiling tiles, right? That's basically the extent of the project? So there'd be no engineering for that. I'm not even sure we need a whole permit for that.
The permit is required, for, in the school code, any project, 50,000 or more.
Okay.
We use a licensed architect or a licensed engineer.
I guess here's my point. $156,000 front load, right? That's what we're talking about here. If we were saying they were billing us $200 an hour for their work, right, that would be $780. There's no way they're putting in any kind of time like that at this point. So my feeling is this, and I mean, and what happens if they're supposed to be running the bid process? Right now, we've had, my understanding is there's only been one contractor that's even looked at the specs.
Yeah, I think the specs went out around the holidays, and so
What happens if we fail to get a bid?
we delayed it so that, with the hopes that we would get more.
So my point is this, right? I'm not saying we stiff our friends, all right? That's not at all what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I'm not in any hurry to pay this bill until we see some progress on this project that may or may not happen. And if it doesn't happen, I'm not sure that they've done $150,000 worth of work for us if this project doesn't happen. And it's not obvious that we're even gonna that they're even gonna do the job that they need to do to get us a bid to get this project happening this summer. It's not clear that that's the case yet. So, I mean, I can just tell you, if I was in my private business and we're at this point in the progress, I'd say, thanks for the bill, guys. I'm gonna put this over here, and we're gonna see how this project goes. And let's see where we're at in a month.
Yeah, I think we need to probably review the agreement that we have with the architect. Again, I think there's some presumption in good faith that, with the nature of the relationship that we have with them, that when we let a project for bid and we have their best estimate of how much it'll cost, they're presuming as they proceed by preparing those documents and doing all the things. We've had a handful of professionals from DLA come and meet with our building committee and with our finishes staff and with Matt and his team. You know, it's been a while since I've read that agreement, but it's very common for the architect to prepare the bid papers for us, and it's also customary for us to pay them for that ahead of the bidding process. We've had a half dozen or more building projects with the company, and they've always met their end of the bargain, we've always met ours, and it seems that the work that they're doing is in good order. I think the 3 packets that were picked up resulted in 1 prospective bidder, is what motivated us to extend it, and Matt told me today that we've had 8 come and pick up since. I think that the timing of the holidays made it difficult for us to find bidders, but everything I'm hearing from Matt and his team and from Eric and his team is that that what they're putting together is in good order, and there's nothing out of the ordinary about the timing of the building or.
I would just say, Well, what I would say is out of the ordinary is I don't think when any of us entered into this, at least, I'm sorry, I shouldn't speak for my fellow board members. I will say that when we discussed exploring this, I never thought that we were committing to, I mean, we were told, hey, if we don't like how the bids are coming in, we can just not do the project. We weren't told we were gonna be on the hook for $250,000 in DLA.
Well, all I can say is that it's always the board's ability to, when they accept the bids, to reject them all or accept the lowest or when they perceive to be the lowest responsible. But in order to have a bid process, you need to have specs, and the specs require a good amount of professional investment in work and time. And that's been the same process with every project that we've done since I've been here.
Well, I would just say then, at the very least, we need to revisit this contract, and we need to work something out where we're paying on an hourly basis for these exploratory type things. And then if we, you know, and we can pay on an hourly basis or some sort of time plus material, something where we're not on the hook for a project that we're not even sure we're gonna go ahead with, because this is extraordinary money. We've been talking about, I mean, what's really interesting is like, we've been talking about, you know, in committee of the whole, we've been talking about potentially exploring, you know, a pre-K center. I mean, so apparently it's relevant, and if that's gonna cost tens of millions of dollars, that if we're gonna even explore that, then apparently we're on the hook for 8% of whatever, and who knows how much it costs. DLA will come back and be like, oh, it's gonna cost $60 million, so here's the bill for $4 million. And we're gonna say, well, this is how it's always been, so.
Well, all right, so there's a difference between preparing for a project that we are planning on doing, like this central middle school project, and exploring the possibility of something, because we've done it both ways with them. We've said, back when we were talking about all the different options for adding full-day kindergarten, you know, we were looking at adding on the central versus adding on to the schools. And so we had them do exactly that, like, just, we're not interested in, you know, official construction documents, we just want a general ballpark, and for that, they would bill us for time. But for a project that we're anticipating doing, 8% is kind of, I mean, the range is usually 8 to 12% for all the architectural firms, so 8% is at the low range.
I will say some of the contractors I spoke to today, I was hearing more 5 to 7, and 7 you're getting when it's more like you have a lot of engineering, because the architects are typically on the hook for paying on the engineers. Now that's private, which is, you know, when it's somebody's money, it's usually cheaper than when it's nobody's money.
Yeah.
So, you know, unfortunately, that might not be very fair, but I mean, that's just how it just. I guess what's disappointing is this. I wish when Eric came and talked to us, at that point, when he presented to us, were we already on the hook for this bill?
That was the point when we decided whether we were going to move forward with the project or not.
Because I guess what's disappointing is we were told at that point, we were all, I mean, I felt like general conversations where people were surprised at how much that was going to be. And then we were told, well, if we don't want to accept the bids, if we don't find the bids acceptable, then we don't have to accept the bids. We can just say, that's all right, we'll figure something else out. But, so then to find out that when we did that, we actually put ourselves on the hook for $250,000 to DLA, that's what I guess is a bit surprising. So it seems like maybe there was a bit of a lack of communication. I can tell you this, had I understood that we, by saying, yes, okay, let's put this out to bid, that we were saying we were committing to owing this much money to DLA for something that I'm not even sure that we want to do, then I would not have agreed to that. I would not have agreed to put it out to bid. I would have said we need to talk about exactly what we want to do as a group before we go.
Well, I understand that clearly now. When I said that the board could not accept the bids, of course, you always have the ability to not accept the bids, but I thought we were talking about a scenario where the bids came back and we thought it was an unfair price for the market, or it wasn't it was too expensive for us to do it at this time because of how much money we've got available to it. Or maybe we would want to do part of it now and part of it later.
Sure, part of it now, part of it later. So that's a perfect example. I mean, that's actually saying, oh, maybe we leave the ceiling tiles, we do the floor and the lights.
Sure.
Okay, so then we're still on the hook for the whole shoot and match the DLA?
Well, they wrote specs for all phases of the project. They did that work. We asked them to do that work. This is,
No, if we ended up doing a project, let's say that's $2 million, then it would be 8% of 2 million, they would adjust it down to.
you know, the monies that we pay them now for the work that they've done, they would still, they'd have that money.
All the more reason why we should be approaching it at this point.
Yeah, so we gotta look at that
I think we're
agreement.
kind
I
of
gotta,
contractually obligated.
What, in how many days? Like 30 days? What happens if we don't? By the way, but yeah, contractually obligated. We pay them a lot of money, right? I mean, we're a good client of theirs. So I'm generally speaking, I put on my invoices that they're due in 30 days. If I don't have the money in 31 days, I'm generally speaking not waiving a contract in my client's face.
no, they're not doing that. We're saying that we think that the board is contractually obligated to pay it, but I haven't reviewed that. I mean, we've done this a number of times, and we've had a number of major, much bigger projects than this, and they've always gone exactly like this, so it didn't occur to me that you didn't know that we would have to pay to have specs written in order to let the project be bid.
Well, I understand we have to pay the architect. I didn't understand we were gonna have to pay them this. I mean, I just had no sense whatsoever about what the extent of the cost would be up front.
I mean, I would suggest that we invite our architect to a committee meeting, and he can go over the fee structure. We can talk to our colleagues in other districts about the relationships they have with their architects and see what rates they're paying and whether or not they think it's in good order. You know, we could go as far as, if it pleases the board, to do an RFP to search for architects and keep everybody honest that way. But you know, there's something to be said for the consistency, the nature of the relationship. They've got 15 or more years of health, life, safety, history in their files. They know our district well, and you know, whenever you do a project this size, there's no way that either side of the project can ever bat 1,000. But I think all in all, we're pretty pleased with the service that they give us. And when we do have a concern, we give it to Eric, and Eric is usually very responsive about it, makes an adjustment, and I regret that the board didn't understand. It's my responsibility to make sure you understand the nature of the cost, but we've just done so many of these, it didn't occur to me that you didn't know.
Other thoughts, other members?
I think that the kind of great thing all of us is, in the past, we always went forward. I think this is the first one where we contemplating not doing, that we wanted the bids first.
So I'd like to make a comment about that too, because, you know, particularly with the carpeting at Central, we've been saying for some time as we're freshening up for other schools that, you know, it's going to be Central's turn, it's going to be Central's turn. And, you know, I understand that we've got budget constraints and we're getting ready to go into bargaining, and we've got other big projects that we look forward to in the future. But there's some freshen up needs that exist at Central, and I think if the bids come in and they're reasonable for the market, that those are some improvements that the board should seriously consider making. So, you know, I wish it didn't cost so much either, but it seems like everything's doubled in the last 4 or 5 years, but I don't see the prices necessarily going down if we wait a year or two to do it. So I just want the board to consider that. I think that it's a good investment in Central. I think Central has been patient and waiting, and they've been enjoying the ribbon cuttings at the other buildings, and I think it's time to give them some new floors and some LED lights. I mean, as long as they come in at a fair price, and hopefully they will. But the only way to know that is to do the work, have Matt and his committee and Don and his committee meet with DLA and theirs n number of times and end up with these specs, and then see where the bids land. It's just the nature of the process.
So I was always under the impression that we would do something. I know we did talk about picking and choosing along the way. So I can appreciate, Rick, your ideas, and you're looking into average percentage rates and or fees from different different architects. And I agree, if you did math, you mentioned 750 hours at $200 an hour estimate, that's excessive. But if we have a contract, we have a contract. So I feel like we also need to be responsible to fulfill that as well, and our reputation with them is pretty good, as mentioned, so maybe a conversation at the same time of what's our contract, what are our details, and hold off on this for now, I would be fine with, but in terms of what we were actually gonna do, I was always under the impression we were going to pick something.
Yeah, I agree with both Amy and Rick. I mean, I was surprised by that number, and if possible, moving forward, I would be interested in learning if we could do more of an hourly agreement with DLA for very initial, specs on projects, or how, if that would be an option. Because it's a lot upfront for, we're not sure what yet, but I think this conversation is more about that number than improving that sense of that separate conversation that we are, well, I am interested in moving forward again with something. Those initial numbers were maybe more than we thought, and then throw this on top of it. This, I definitely was not aware that that was a contract, that this is how that works with the architect. So, like Amy said, we have a contract. I feel like we are responsible for that, but moving forward, maybe we can look into that contract and see if there's any changes that we can make.
I haven't seen it for a good number of years, but
We're speculating.
certainly is.
But here's the point, you say if we have a contract, then why are we even voting? Just pay it third by, you know what I mean? Yeah, we have a contract, but.
Because the board has to authorize administration of funds.
Yeah. At the very least, I'm inclined to say we need to revisit this contract. This is a lot of money to shell out for some, we're not talking about adding on to a building. There is no structural component to this. There is no electrical engineering component to this. There is literally swapping out ceiling tiles, swapping out lights, and swapping out carpet. And we're paying them $240,000 to run a bid for us. And that's insane. I don't care what anyone says, that's insane. I appreciate what architects do. My grandfather was an architect, okay? I'm in favor, I'm a small business person, all right? I'm in favor of people getting paid for what they do. But the way this is arranged is not, it's just bad taste for me. And I'm not saying we don't pay them, I'm just saying, just think about whether we pay them else. So, but that, I've said what I've said. I'm in favor of approving all the other parts of the consent agenda. I don't know how we proceed.
Well, currently, there's a motion and a second on the floor, so we would take a vote on the motion and the second, and see where we land from there. And if the motion fails, then we must have further discussion, because all the consent agenda items are together. So we will move forward from there. So I'm going to call for the vote. Secretary, please call it.
Hamrick?
Yes?
Casper?
Yes.
Dunlap?
Yes.
Lloyd? No. Barry?
Yes.
Menzo?
Yes.
Motion passes. 8.7, approval of Vision 2030 resolution.
Yes, there's been no changes in this resolution since it was an info item last month. I appreciate the board's support. I'm a member of this Vision 2030 movement. I was a member of the Vision 2020 movement in 2014. The board passed a similar resolution supporting it in either late 2014 or early 2015. Basically, it was a group of administrators and board members and legislators and regional superintendents that came together and said, instead of us sitting around and complaining about the legislation that's coming out of Springfield, why don't we as educators, as experts, why don't we tell legislators what we think that they should do next? And we put together the Vision 2020 platform that resulted in evidence-based funding and a number of other really significant improvements in the way public schools are run in the state of Illinois. So it's time for the next generation of that. We put together a Vision 2030 plan that's broken into 3 components: future-focused learning, shared accountability, and predictable funding. I was on the predictable funding subgroup, and we're asking boards in the state of Illinois to resolve that they're in support of Vision 2030, and that'll give us the oomph that we need, the support that we need in the press and in the General Assembly to hopefully get some positive legislation passed.
Is there a motion?
I move that the Board of Education approve the resolution in support of Illinois Vision 2030 as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, Secretary call roll.
Hammond,
Yes.
Casper,
Yes.
Dunlop, Lloyd, yes, Barry.
Yes.
Enza.
Yes. 8.8, approval of gift to Cruz Education Center.
Yes, this is awesome. So, you heard me mention the givers, Silac Insurance Company, Dowling Legacy Retirement, and Rich's Pizza Joint. They are paying off all extenuating school lunch balances for the entire school, Cruz School. They are filling backpacks with school supplies and such and distributing them to kids, and then they're also throwing a school-wide pizza party. Each one of those 3 things exceeds the gift limit, so it requires the board to resolve to accept those gifts in amounts to exceed, I think, the limit is $500. So each one of those is more than that. So I hope that you extend them the opportunity to receive those gifts.
Is there a motion?
I move that the Board of Education approve and accept the donated gifts extended to the students of Cruz Education Center as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
I have a question. When we approve those kinds of gifts that are over 500, does that affect us financially in like taxes and things of that nature?
No, Jeff, you could probably give me better.
Tax exempt, we don't have to pay.
Right. But there's no other like, strings attached somewhere?
No, and they're not
That
revolving
number?
funds, they come in as activity, I guess, category funds, which are not part of the revolving audit. And
Is that number our decision of what number it is, or is that like the state?
no, it's a local, I don't know if there's any guideline in school code, but I know that you have the ability to set an amount different than that in your board policy. Board policy is what's dictating my behavior tonight, but if the board has a desire to increase it or decrease it, I would check with the school code and make sure that that's cool.
Seeing no more comments, Secretary, please call the roll.
Hammond,
Yes.
Casper,
Yes.
Dunlop,
Yes.
Lloyd, yes, Barry.
Yes.
Enza.
Yes. Okay, 9.1, quarterly investment report.
Yes, so, as of December 31st, we have just over $49 million invested at a variety of maturity dates to meet our cash flow needs. We finally hit that point where all the low interest rates from a couple of years ago have rolled off, so now everything is pretty much in the 4 to 5% that we're earning range. And so the actual total for the entire amount is an average of 4.58%. Compared to last year, it was 4.39, so it's still rising a little bit, but it's going to settle in here now until interest rates move up or down from here.
9.2, Title I update.
Yeah, so every 5 years, we need to update our Title I plans, and the plans at Fulton Central are due, so we'll ask the board to ratify those plans next month. We are revising these plans in 3 key areas: student-centered and data-informed instruction. In new ways, data will be used to personalize learning, provide targeted support, and improve outcomes for all students, including English language learners and those that are at risk. Number 2, expanded opportunities and support, increased emphasis on advanced coursework, STEAM, SEL integration, and preparing students for college and career readiness and success. And then number 3, strengthen professional development and community engagement, staff development. This time around will be enhanced through professional learning with greater collaboration among families, teachers, and local high schools to create more inclusive and equitable learning environment. And those enhancements are in line with guidelines for writing Title I plans. So you'll see the whole plan in board docs for next week, or for next month, and we hope you'll see there.
Thank you. 10.1, communications and correspondence, we have 2.
Please.
Thank you for thinking of our family during this difficult time. Thank you for the beautiful flowers. Sincerely, Sam, Cindy, and family.
To the Board of Education, thank you for the beautiful flowers following my brother's death. They were very much appreciated. Sincerely, Gail Flynn, Fulton School.
Thank you. 11.1, can I have a motion for closed session?
We move that we go into closed session to discuss personnel matters.
Is there a second?
Second.
Secretary, please call the roll.
Cameron.
Yes.
Jasper.
Yes.
Dunlap.
Yes.
Lloyd, yes. Barry. Benson.
Yes. We are in closed session. There will be no action following close. Thank you, everyone.